Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Whatcha Gonna Queue, the only weekly web video show you're gonna find in the entire world that features not one, but two nerds recommending you some of the best titles that Netflix has to offer, with recommendations broken down into three categories. Instant Karma, where we recommend some of the best instant titles to watch before they expire. What the F is This, where we highlight some of the obscure or overlooked titles buried in the annals of Netflix. And For Your Consideration, where the recommended titles tie into a timely, predetermined cinematic theme. And of course, I am one of those nerds, Jim Roner.
And I am the other nerd, Alex Rabinowitz.
Yes. And Alex, how do you feel about winning a free copy of Black Swan on DVD or Blu-ray?
Oh, are you offering?
Oh no, I'm not offering it to you.
Oh.
But I am offering it to you, the viewers. Specifically, there are 5 lucky viewers out there who, courtesy of Whatcha Gonna Queue, will win a free copy of Black Swan on DVD or Blu-ray. Listen up, here's the deal. Beginning this Friday, Alex and I will be posting pictures on our Facebook page of some of the t-shirts we've worn on the show with specific references to certain media in pop culture. Anybody who guesses correctly, once again on our Facebook page, what entity or what title that t-shirt is from will be entered into a drawing to win a free copy of Black Swan on DVD or Blu-ray. Once again, this is every Friday. Entries will only be accepted on our Facebook page, and it'll be going on for 5 weeks starting this Friday. We recommend that you guys stop by and join in, and we also recommend that you keep watching because we've got some great titles beginning in Section 1. In career opportunities, local loser Jim Dodge, who can't even hold down the simplest of jobs, is confronted with the moment he's always dreamed of when he finds himself locked overnight in a department store with the girl he's pined for since high school, Josie McClellan. Frank Whaley stars as Dodge and Jennifer Connelly as Josie, whose reunion together is interrupted when their store is targeted by a pair of roaming thieves played by Dermot and Kieran Mulroney.
What are you planning to steal? Hairspray?
Well, we haven't decided yet, have we?
Now, Alex, unless you've watched a whole lot of TV, I'm guessing you may not be familiar with the director of Career Opportunities, Brian Gordon. He's directed a whole lot of comedy TV, Freaks and Geeks, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Party Down specifically, but I'm sure you will recognize the screenwriter's name, John Hughes. And it's because of John Hughes that makes Career Opportunities immensely worth watching.
Wait a second. I like John Hughes movies. I'm familiar with them, a fan of them.
Okay.
I've never heard of Career Opportunities. Why should I believe you?
Right. Well, for one reason, because his name is in the credits,
Oh.
but also because Career Opportunities shares a lot of trademarks of some of the really great John Hughes films, some of the ones he's written and directed, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Clearly the ones that he has written and not directed, Flubber, Beethoven, 101 Dalmatians, aren't really the greatest. But Career Opportunities takes a lot of strengths from his really great movies. It's immensely quotable, it's very funny, especially because of the Jim Dodge character, who's just a complete bullshitter and just hilarious to listen to.
If I was sweating, would you touch me?
I would probably touch you even if you were covered with spiders.
Yeah, and it's got great performances to boot.
Yeah, we don't really have to sing the praises of Jennifer Connelly. We've already done it many times in the show before.
True.
But like I said, Frank Whaley, a character actor that many people might not know about, mostly probably they'll know him as check out the big brain on Brad from Pulp Fiction or from Swimming with Sharks. He's really great because what he brings to this character, I mean, Jim Dodge is a bullshitter. He's known as a town liar. So there's a lot of reasons not to like him, but he also brings a heart and some dimensionality to him. And also, let's be honest, what guy in the right mind would not want to be trapped overnight in a department store with Jennifer Connelly clad in a tight white tank top?
I know I certainly would. And I'd also like to watch this movie before it expires.
Well, it's going to expire on June 1st, so have plenty of time to live vicariously through Jim Dodge.
All right, great. And speaking of people being stuck in one singular location, shares a lot in common with the movie I'll be recommending in Section 2. Tape is Richard Linklater's 2001 contained drama based on the stage play by Steven Belber. It stars Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Uma Thurman as a trio of old high school chums. Set entirely in a seedy motel room, the drama concerns that of a sordid love triangle and the fabrications we create of the past.
Where's Lan? We broke up. Tell me what happened. Oh, I get stranger every year.
It's difficult to faithfully adapt a stage play for the screen. Oftentimes what happens is that something that was very simple on stage and very straightforward gets overblown when it transitions to cinema and kind of loses its meaning. Luckily, Richard Linklater and Steven Belber do a great job transitioning tape from stage to film.
And it sounds very similar to Bug, one of the very first films we ever recommend on the show, in regards to its kind of minimalist approach and also how it takes place largely in one room. Clearly, we both like that film and we both recommended it, so I'm only going to naturally assume that you feel tape is executed in a similar good style.
Yes, absolutely, but it's even more similar to watching a play than Bug was. The way that it plays out, especially in how it's so contained to this one room and this one time frame, it's even more tight and lean and mean than Bug. And in a lot of ways, that's really refreshing to see that, yes, you can make a movie that's 3 characters, 1 location, takes place in 1 day, and that's it.
You picked the most important weekend of my life to bring up something I haven't even thought about in 10 years.
Which is very interesting because especially films based on plays are often kind of judged as, you know, how faithful of an adaptation they are. But film is obviously a medium in and amongst itself. So what separates tape from just being a good adaptation? What makes it just, it's a very solid film?
Yeah, well, it's a motivated character drama that it's really a triple threat in acting, directing, and writing. And it's got these really 3-dimensional, well-rounded characters, fully lived-in performances that are just really solid and deep and studied almost. And then Richard Linklater makes it so the film is engaging. There's a lot of great camera ingenuity and just scene breaks in the story that kind of keep it well-paced and flowing well, and really brings the viewer in and engages even the most attention deficit of filmgoer.
Yeah, well, speaking of attention deficit viewers, don't worry, we're done with section 2 and we're moving right on to section 3 right now, so stick around. Yay. Well, whether you like it or not, this weekend sees the release of the 4th installment in the Scream franchise. And while we're not sure if that says more about Wes Craven really needing money or the sad state of Hollywood filmmaking, it has got us thinking about some sequels that we're not so leery about. So, for your consideration, we are going to be recommending you some of our favorite sequels.
Yay!
A fictional film noir set against the backdrop of the actual Yorkshire Ripper murders, Red Riding 1980 is the second installment in the Red Riding trilogy and focuses on Inspector Peter Hunter, played by Paddy Considine, who is called in to help with the Ripper investigation. Already disliked in the department due to his part in an internal affairs investigation 6 years prior, Hunter's work is increasingly interfered with as he slowly begins to uncover the deep-seated police corruption that runs through all of Yorkshire.
You don't think she was killed by the Ripper?
If she wasn't, that would mean we've got ourselves 2 Jacks, not 1.
So the Red Riding trilogy is actually based on a quadrilogy of books written by novelist David Peace, adapted by Tony Grassoni, a sometime collaborator with Terry Gilliam. And each installment of the trilogy was directed by a different British director and shot on a different medium. 1980 was directed by James Marsh, who was the director of Man on Wire, a film we've recommended before, and shot on the most glorious film medium there is, 35mm.
Ah, very nice. Now, you say that this is a film noir. I like film noir.
Okay.
So I like this movie.
I think you would. I think fans of film noir will really find something to like about 1980. It's very dark, it's very gritty, it's very reminiscent of Chinatown, actually, in the sense of it's this story of corruption, you know, told through the perspective of a character who has his own history, who kind of brings his own baggage to the case. As I mentioned, Paddy Considine in the lead. He's a fantastic actor. I love him. I wish I could see him in more American films. But he carries a weight and a gravity to him. You see that every time he says something, his facial features seem to hide that there's something else going on underneath him. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of turmoil. The performances are just universally great.
Talk to someone else. There's nobody else left. They're all dead.
Now, do I have to have seen the previous film to appreciate and understand 1980?
Actually, I think that's what makes 1980 great, is that while it would certainly help to have seen the film that came before it in 1974, it's not necessary. When I actually first saw the Red Riding trilogy, 1980 was the first one that I saw, and I was actually more confused by the thick Yorkshire accents than I were any plot holes. 1980 stands really well on its own, thanks in part to Tony Grassoni's writing is very concise. He gets the exposition and the background across in a way that's easy to follow. So while it would help to see 1974, it's not absolutely necessary. But of course, you would have to see both of them if you wanted to see 1983.
Oh, well, I'll keep that in mind. And because you recommended an obscure British independent drama, I am going to recommend a gigantic American blockbuster. Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's follow-up to the smash success comic book caper Spider-Man finds Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker overwhelmed by civic duty and giving up his ability. But he couldn't have picked a worse time to do it, as the evil Doc Ock, as played by Alfred Molina, takes to terrorizing the city.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
Because the third Spider-Man film is so devastatingly bad, so astonishingly awful, history kind of forgets that Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 are very solid blockbusters. And I think that they really excel in, making a big, broad comic book movie with colors and explosions and fight sequences and all that wonderful stuff, CGI, all that shit we love to see. But it also touches on the real emotional touchstones that are important to grounding the story in some kind of relatable reality.
Yeah, it was certainly a great comic book film before the prerequisite for all great comic book films had to be a dark, gritty story.
Yeah.
And I am one of the many that like Spider-Man 2 more than Spider-Man 1, because I think what it does is it takes everything, the successful foundation laid out in Spider-Man 1, perfects everything that needed perfecting, and adds on top of it, like you said, a lot of emotional complexity and emotional engagement.
Yeah, the sequel is really great, and I think for two reasons. One, it's not burdened by an origin story. Too often with these comic book films, they have to use the entire first half of the movie to tell how the superhero became the superhero, and it's just formality, really. Yeah. And then the other thing that makes Spider-Man 2 so great is the way that it plays into sort of a superhero sequel trope, which is the superhero giving up his ability. And, it's something that we've seen before. Superman 2 is an example of that. But it does it really well, and it gives a nice emotional background to that decision that makes it feel weighted and important.
I'm Spider-Man. No more.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Sam Raimi, who certainly found a great opportunity to inject his own kind of personal style into the story. Especially in Spider-Man 2, you see that great scene with Dr. Octopus that's very reminiscent of Sam Raimi's style that he did with Evil Dead. And it's actually Dr. Octopus, I think, that really helps this film succeed, because the work that he does with that character is fantastic.
Yeah, that character in acting, writing, and direction is just on another level completely.
Yeah. And
I think it's a lot to do with Alfred Molina, who really hits it out of the park, and the arc that he gets to play. The Spider-Man myth has a lot to do with the theme of grief and sadness and what you turn that into.
Yeah.
So whether you make it revenge and anger, or courage and try to do something for the greater good. Obviously, Peter Parker with Uncle Ben's death takes the latter, but Doc Ock takes the former, and you get to see some really dark, menacing performances from Alfred Molina. Yeah. But then at the end, there's this wonderful part where he gets to redeem himself, and it's really a full circle kind of finish. And that's something that, that kind of rounded character development you don't see in this kind of movie.
Yeah, but you do see that kind of rounded character development in this show, which is currently ending because we've reached the end of our arch. So we want to thank you guys for watching, and once again, you can always reach us by our plethora of social media outlets. We have a Facebook page where you can post pictures of your queue to, or beginning this Friday, post answers to what t-shirt we have posted. You can always visit our Twitter account, where we'll find out what's going on every minute and every day of all of our lives. We have a website where we're always posting the most up-to-date news on what's going on in the world of streaming, Netflix, and instant. And we also have an iTunes page where you should go on, listen, and rate us so that we get a higher ranking. Once again, guys, thanks for watching, and remember, until next time, we're the co-host you deserve, but not the co-host you need right now.